People who worked at Mountain West Meats all knew the same rule. Never enter freezer 6 alone after closing. Nobody would explain why. Managers only said it wasn't safe. One night, a new employee named Caleb stayed late to finish cleaning. Around 11:45 p.m., he heard banging from the far end of the processing area. Bang, bang, bang. Thinking someone had been accidentally locked inside, he grabbed a flashlight and followed the sound. It led him to freezer 6. The thick metal door was covered in frost, even though the rest of the building was warm. As he reached for the handle, the banging stopped. Then a voice came from inside. "Please let me out." It sounded weak, cold. Caleb called for his supervisor over the radio. Only static answered. The voice came again. "I am freezing." Ignoring the warning he'd been given on his first day, Caleb unlocked the freezer. The room was empty. Rows of hanging meat swayed gently, though there was no breeze. His flashlight flickered. The freezer door slammed shut behind him. The temperature dropped so quickly that his breath turned to ice. Then he heard footsteps crunching across the frozen floor. Slow, heavy. He turned his flashlight toward the sound. At the end of the aisle stood a figure wearing an old white butcher's coat stained dark with age. Its face was hidden beneath the hood. One gloved hand slowly pointed toward the exit. Caleb ran. He threw himself against the freezer door until it finally burst open. When his coworkers found him minutes later, he was sitting on the floor outside, shaking uncontrollably. He kept repeating the same sentence. It wasn't asking to get out, it was asking me to come in. The next morning, the company inspected freezer 6. They found no footprints except Caleb's. No damaged lock. No signs that anyone else had been inside. Even today, longtime employees claim that if you're the last person in the building and hear knocking from freezer 6, don't answer. Because whatever is inside only knocks when it's hungry.
After Caleb quit, management dismissed his story as stress and exhaustion. They claimed there had never been a freezer 6 and the missing 18 minutes on the security cameras were blamed on a recording error. Most employees accepted the explanation. Not everyone. A veteran maintenance technician named Aaron had worked at Mountain West Meats for over 20 years. He had heard rumors about a hidden freezer long before Caleb was hired. One Friday night, Aaron stayed late to repair a refrigeration unit after the rest of the crew had gone home. At 12:06 a.m., the lights dimmed. The building became unnaturally quiet. Then, knock, knock, knock. The sound echoed through the hallway. Aaron froze. He knew exactly what it meant. Instead of investigating, he packed his tools and headed for the exit. As he passed the freezer corridor, he noticed something that made him stop. A steel door stood at the end of the hallway. Painted across it in faded black letters were the words, "Freezer 6." It hadn't been there when he walked in. A voice drifted through the cold air. "Aaron." His heart skipped. It sounded exactly like his younger brother, who had died years earlier. "Aaron, please." He squeezed his eyes shut and kept walking. The voice changed. Now it sounded like his supervisor. Then his wife. Then his own voice. Each plea begged him to turn around. He refused. Just as he reached the exit, every light in the building went out. Emergency lights glowed a deep red. The heavy freezer compressors shut off all at once. For the first time in the plant's history, there was complete silence. Then came a loud metallic screech. Aaron turned despite every instinct telling him not to. Freezer 6's door was slowly opening by itself. A freezing mist poured into the hallway. Shapes moved inside the darkness. Not one. Dozens. Human silhouettes stood motionless beyond the doorway. None of them stepped out. Instead, they all raised one arm at the same time and pointed directly at Aaron. The building's emergency radio suddenly crackled to life. A calm, unfamiliar voice spoke. "Containment failure. One subject remaining." The silhouettes began taking slow, synchronized steps toward the hallway. Aaron sprinted for the exit. Behind him, he heard heavy boots striking the concrete floor. Closer, closer. He burst through the front doors and collapsed in the parking lot. When police arrived after his frantic 911 call, they searched the entire facility. There was no freezer 6, no mysterious hallway, no footprints. No silhouettes, only Aaron's abandoned toolbox lying near freezer 5. He resigned the next morning without giving a reason. Years later, employees still whisper about 2 rules for anyone working the night shift. If you hear knocking, ignore it. And if you ever hear a familiar voice calling your name from a freezer, keep walking. Because whatever waits behind freezer 6 already knows who you are.